At Global Studies, this presentation is going to focus on those of you who are coming to UCSB as transfer students or who are at UCSB as current students but are looking at community college transferable course options to take care of some of your major requirements. So this is going to be kind of some general notes about course transferability for community colleges, and then assist.org, a tutorial for how to use that tool, which will be really, really useful in helping you figure out which classes count for UCSB classes in certain parts of the major requirements. So the overview and kind of the big ideas this presentation will cover. There are some areas on the major requirement sheet that can potentially be completed through transfer courses, whether they're done at another UC or another four-year college or a community college. These areas are some pre-major requirements, pretty much all of the prep for the major requirements, depending on what's available at your campus. And then separately from the major requirements, keep in mind many students complete GE courses through transfer courses, whether all of their GEs or just a few of them here and there. The key is to know which courses can count for which requirements, and we will go through that. For California community colleges, like we said, assist.org is your very useful tool to check on course transferability. And then for non-California community colleges or for non-community colleges, right, for four-year institutions, including other UCs, which do not automatically link up with UCSB's course descriptions, believe it or not, you're going to look for similar course titles and just contact the Global Studies undergraduate advisors for confirmation to see if you can use those towards prep for the major and pre-major courses, as well as potentially upper division major courses. If you have questions about GE courses, just know you're going to want to check with the College of Letters and Science advisors instead. And then the final steps, you will take the courses, you will have your transcript sent to the UCSB Office of Admissions. The final step is that for courses that are already pre-approved on assist.org, you usually don't have to do anything extra in terms of what we call petitioning, so making special requests to have non-UCSB courses or non-standard courses at UCSB count for specific major requirements. If you are taking courses that are not coming from assist.org pre-approved course lists, then just plan to contact us and petition those courses with the help of your undergrad advisors in global studies. So what are the parts of the major requirements that can be completed through transfer credits and the most sort of common ones, right? In many cases, the lower division requirements, these would be under the pre-major and prep for the major sections of the global studies major, can be completed through transfer courses, including those from community colleges. So these would be kind of the options you're looking at. Foreign language courses are an especially popular thing to complete at a community college for this major. As you might imagine, you've probably seen our foreign language requirement. It is quite lengthy and quite extensive. And so for a lot of people, if they need to complete a full extra year of language, for example, they may choose to do that after they've completed their main requirements at UCSB and then leave UCSB without officially graduating, and then do their remaining foreign language requirement courses where it's cheaper at a community college. They can kind of go at their own pace and then plan to graduate a bit later on. So that is one option. GEs are popular choices as well. And then who is eligible for this option? We would say biggest student populations that would be thinking about this would be our traditional transfer students, right? They started at one campus, including most often community colleges, but not always. And then they plan to transfer to UCSB for their junior year. And then also just continuing students who might need to catch up or want to get ahead for any number of reasons. Maybe they want to work on things during the summer at a campus that's close to their home, community college, or maybe they want to be formally taking some time away from UCSB for a variety of personal, medical, other reasons, whatever it might be, but they don't want to lose momentum in working on their major requirements. So they might choose to take some community college courses or courses at another campus close to them. So here's a quick snapshot of the global studies major, the portions that are eligible for transferable courses from most campuses, including especially community colleges. You're going to notice there's a date next to the header up here that says 2020 to 2021. We just grabbed that as a quick thing to look at, but just know you can always find the most updated version of the major requirements on our department website. You'll visit global.ucsb.edu/undergrad/course-registration. You can find the most currently updated version of the major requirements. Just know if you signed up for the major requirements in a specific year, those are the major requirements that you follow, but you can always look at the most current one just to get a basic sense of what you need to work on. Current students, you can also double check like what exact requirements you still need to fulfill by checking on your major and GE progress check on gold. That'll be under the progress tab, and that system will be set to show you which exact version of the major you signed up for, even if there's a newer version of the major that might look slightly different. Slightly different courses. So what parts of the major requirements cannot be completed through transfer credits? So the big thing to keep in mind is upper division courses cannot be completed through community college transfer courses. The reason for that is that most community college courses are lower division. They're designed to be completed by students that would be the UCSB equivalent of like freshmen and sophomores. Doesn't mean that only freshmen and sophomore age students are taking them. It just means that that's the kind of the portion of the educational program that is being offered at community colleges typically. Assist.org will only typically speak to those lower division course options and requirements anyway, so you'll kind of notice that. You won't usually see upper division course options. Big difference between upper and lower division, just know that you can recognize them at UCSB by looking at the numbers, right? Lower division courses are numbered 1 to 99. Upper division courses are numbered 100 to 199, typically restricted only to juniors and seniors, but not always. Over at your community college, just know the numbers might be totally different. They might not use, and they very likely don't use the same numbering system as UCSB or the other UC system schools. So just keep that in mind. This is not an assist.org specific thing, but it's good to know. If you're thinking about what other parts of the major requirements might be able to be completed through transfer courses, Global 110, 120, and 130, and at least Area 2 courses, so all of your Global Studies Department upper division courses must be completed at UCSB. We do want you to get a certain number of specific to our department and our program major courses done here at UCSB with our faculty and our programs. However, Area 2B and Area 3 courses can potentially be completed through other four-year university courses. You're going to want to discuss petition options with the undergraduate advisor for global studies. So this might apply to you if you are looking at a study abroad program, especially UC EAP programs. If you are transferring as a incoming junior just from another four-year college, it's possible you may have some courses we can still grant you credit for. It's just going to have to be a lot more of kind of one-on-one conversations and custom looking at what you've taken so that we can see. You will want to be prepared to show course syllabi and be able to pull course descriptions so we can see kind of what we're looking at. And then this is just good to know again, this would be the parts of the major that you cannot use assist.org and cannot use community college courses to fulfill, but it's possible for Area 2B and Area 3 that you may find some courses at other four-year colleges that we might be able to grant you credit for. And then again, just reminders, most current major requirements are on our website, and current students can always check their GE major and GE progress check to know totally up to date what they still have left to complete. So as promised, an assist.org tutorial, so you can actually know what to click and kind of some tips and tricks for making it show you what it needs to show you so you can feel confident that you are picking the right classes to match up with global studies requirements. So we'll have the link there. We'll pull that open in a minute. The big things that we're going to keep in mind, and then we'll actually see them in real time as we navigate assist. So you want to watch out for the quarter/semester conversion issue, right? 3-quarter courses at UCSB, most commonly in our major, that would be students working on 3 foreign language courses in a particular series or more, depending. 3 history courses in a series at UCSB for the pre-major requirement, where you pick 3 history courses from a selected geographic region. They typically have 2 or sometimes more, depending on the college, corresponding semester courses at a semester system school. Could be closer to 3 courses at a quarter system school, right? So just be ready to take a look very carefully. But if it says you need to take 2 or more corresponding semester courses, you do want to plan to take all of the courses listed for that to make sure you're meeting all 3 of the UCSB courses if you want to avoid having to take extra courses later to make up any gaps in the series that might occur by taking fewer than what you're being told on assist. The main pre-major and prep for the major requirements are run a bit differently than the foreign language requirement for the global studies major on assist. Just make sure you watch the tutorial carefully. We'll highlight that. The system also shows the most recent current major requirements for which assist has actually checked on course agreements. This might not mean it's the exact current year. It might be slightly out of date, but it will still, in most cases, work as a general course planning tool. You can still look at it to get a general idea. And then just keep in mind, if you're a global studies student who signed up for the major in summer of 2019 and earlier, or if you were a sophomore and above in fall 2019 and you signed up for the major at that point, you can actually set the system to show you the agreement in Assist that pulls the older version of the major requirements. These would be the 2018 and 2019 global studies requirements and earlier, to see the version of the major that applies to you. If you don't seem to fit into any of the categories outlined in terms of when you started as a student at UCSB, that very likely does not apply to you, but I'm just putting that in there in case anybody is wondering or they're coming to this video as a student who's slightly further along or maybe had taken some time away at UCSB and is coming back. Just know if you're seeing things telling you you need to do pre-major requirements and you do not remember anything like that, it's possible that doesn't apply to you. So feel free to reach out to us and we can help you clarify. Okay, as promised, let's spend a little bit of time on Assist. So Assist, the middle box right here will be where we'll spend most of our time. Just know that the far right box lets you actually find specific courses for general education requirements. You can actually kind of do that on the middle box as well, but just know that that's an option if you need it. Otherwise, middle box, academic year. So the most current one is the one that always shows up first. You can dial it back to whatever time period you want to see a snapshot of what the major looked like, including years where we didn't have the global studies major, not only since the late 90s. So we'll leave it here for a second. Institution, you want to pick one of your colleges. So in most cases, people would go ahead and pick their current community college. We'll say SBCC right now as a sample since we have a lot of students coming from there. Agreements with other institutions, this is where you'll plug in UCSB. Good thing to keep in mind is it can flip-flop. It doesn't have to be like specifically one and then the other. You can just make sure that both of these have, each of these have each of your college names. Now it is going to tell us, the system is going to say, hey, the 2021 to 2022 agreement is not yet available. They're going to show us the 2020 to 2021 agreement instead. That's fine for us. Just the 2021, 2022 is not updated yet. And we're filming this video in July of 2021, so they're still working on it. But we'll go ahead and click View Agreements. Now it's going to say, please make a selection over here and to the left. We can view the agreement by major, right? So we could say, I want to see the global studies major requirement agreement. I can run it by department. So I can see like what specific classes at each department match up with which classes in Santa Barbara City College and their course catalog. Or I could do GE requirements if I needed to do that. But we'll start with major. We're going to roll down the list. We can start typing here or we can just scroll. And I'm going to pick Global Studies BA. That gives me two options. I can view the agreement as a PDF, just like opening any PDF. I can also save it from there if I want to, or I can just download the agreement if all I wanted to do was save it. But I'll go ahead and view it for now. Now I'll zoom in so we can look at it together. You're going to notice it's set up for left side, right side. Left side right now is showing us UCSB options on the left column. On the right column, it's going to show the Santa Barbara City College equivalent courses so that I know if a course is listed on this side, it's a Santa Barbara City College course. If it's on the left side, then it's the UCSB numbering and titling of that course. General information for all majors. This is a really good thing to spend some time looking at if you haven't already. Global Studies BA, they're going to repeat the same major requirements that are back on our major requirement sheet, but it's just there so you can double check it. Note for native speakers, they have some information, especially for our major related to language requirement classes if you're a native speaker of another language, especially if you're an international student. And then area 1, area 2, areas, etc., so on and so forth of the pre-major and prep for the major. So you're going to notice it goes on for a few pages. We're going to look mainly at the top, the third page section here. We'll say first pre-major requirement. So we know from the global studies major that the area 1 pre-major requirements are global studies 1 and 2 done on our campus with a 2.7 plus GPA, or if you're bringing them in as transfer courses, you want to aim for something similar. But we'll see global 1 and 2 at UCSB. Do they have equivalents at SBCC? They do. Global Studies 101 for global 1, global 102 for global 2. So you could take these two courses and come to UCSB as a global studies pre-major and find out that you've actually already met this pre-major requirement, which helps you out a lot, makes you move into the major a bit faster. Now, and for the area 2 section, this is where we are looking carefully at. We need 3 history courses chosen from a selected geographic cluster. The world history one on this agreement is listed first, history 2A, 2B, 2C, all at UCSB. Over at SBCC, the 2 semester courses that count for the same sort of sequence of history learning at UCSB would be History 107 and 108, both world civilization. We see the date range covers sort of like all of world history, right? So that one makes sense. 3 quarter courses, 2 semester courses. You would need to, if you wanted to make this choice, do both History 107 and History 108 to get credit for all 3. If you just did History 107, you would just be getting credit for History 2A. If you just did History 108, you likely would just be getting credit for History 2C, most likely. The 2B would be a missing piece, so you'd have to take that when you arrived at UCSB. So if you wanted to get all of them done, make sure you're taking everything that's listed here. Similarly, you're going to notice potentially some funky things in a different cluster. So this would be the European history cluster at UCSB that starts with History 2A and continues with History 4B and 4C. So again, 3 history quarter system classes. Over here, though, we're going to notice you need History 107 to give you the equivalent of 2A. And then it's going to give you choices, right? This one, History 103, and History 104 to be able to capture all of History 4B and, in this case, History 4C, right? Because we see that History 104 transfers using this arrow for History 4C at UCSB. This one is giving you options, though, right? When you see and, it's telling you you have to take both of these to count for this one class. But if it's giving you an or, it's showing that you have some options, right? It looks like the main option is that you can take History 104 or you can take the honors version, which is a different course number. You're also going to notice sometimes it will have an option here at UCSB, but then it'll say no course articulated. That just means that you can't get this specific set of classes done through any articulated pre-approved classes at your community college. It's just that we don't have a class agreement with those at the moment. That might change in the future, but for now, you would probably want to pick a different cluster if that was something you're looking at. Otherwise, kind of continues on, same thing. Again, making sure you're reading very carefully, looking for the ands and the ors over on this side. And then what we're going to notice is we get into the preparation for the major area 1. This is where we need 1 class from this side, and then you have multiple options on this side, including some honors options. But it's going to say preparation for the major area 2 and area 3, 2 years of modern foreign language, 1 additional year of foreign language. It's going to say no articulation established. Does this mean that you can't take foreign language classes at your community college? Absolutely not. It just means you're going to have to look at a slightly different version of the agreement. So it's going to say refer to the top of agreement. We're going to see if they have the note up there. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They don't. So what you're going to do is you ran the list, you ran this agreement, articulation agreement by major, right? But now we need to rerun it by department. So we're going to go back to our search results. We're going to say, I want to view the agreement by department. And now I can actually plug in the language that I'm thinking of doing for the foreign language requirement and actually see what specific classes count at UCSB for which classes at my community college. And we're still at SBCC in this sample. So I'm going to say by department, I'm studying Spanish, for example, and I want to figure out how my Spanish classes at SBCC can transfer to credit at UCSB. So I'm going to pick the department that teaches that language, in this case, Spanish and Portuguese. You're going to notice other ones like Germanic and Slavic studies, so that would be German and Russian, French and Italian, East Asian cultural studies is going to be up here. They are Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. If you happen to be taking Arabic anywhere, just know that it's at UCSB under, believe it or not, religious studies. Go figure. So Spanish and Portuguese, I'm going to go ahead and view agreement again. And then it's going to look really similar. It's just not going to have the information about the pre-major prep for the major requirement stuff. It's just going to give you a very clean list of over here, this class at SBC or at UCSB counts for this class at SBCC. So you'll notice no Portuguese at UCSB, or excuse me, at SBCC. So we'll skip down here. But now I can find if I need elementary Spanish 1, the beginning year of Spanish 1, 2, and 3 at UCSB, I would be taking at SBCC Spanish 101 and Spanish 102, right, the full beginning year. If I just needed 1, I would then find the exact corresponding course. You're going to notice that sometimes the course might be listed the same number that corresponds with different ones over here. That's just a sign of the quarter and semester conversion thing. But if you see, oh, I need Spanish 3 at UCSB, Spanish 102 would be the class that prepares me for that counts for that one. And so on and so forth. So you can kind of get a sense of which classes at UCSB count for which classes at SBCC. And then again, if you're not sure, feel free to reach out to the undergraduate advisors so we can help point you in the right direction. So that would be the basics for assist. Now what to do next? You've highlighted which courses you need, you figured out which courses will work. Now what? So you're going to look on your campus website for information on transferring courses or transcripts to other universities and follow their process. In most cases, they will have a website or a section of their website that talks about sending an electronic official copy to UCSB. Sometimes it's done by the mail, sometimes you get an option. The electronic copies are the best and fastest way. That doesn't mean you can't send it by mail, it just means it's not as fast. And do plan to request the transcript after you get your final grades, right? Don't send it, I mean, you can if you want to, but we recommend that you don't send it when the class is still in progress, because you're just gonna have to send another one once it's updated. And then if the system asks you for an address, if it doesn't give you like a pre-selectable option for UCSB, this is the safest address to use, the Office of Admissions, and then there's what you need for the information there. It is also a really good idea just for yourself as a student to order a separate hard copy of your transcript just for yourself and for your own records. You may find in the future that you need to send another official copy, or just, that you want to be able to look back at what you took, or you may need to show an unofficial copy to us as the advisor in the department, and it's just nice to be able to have that. You can show us, like we said, an unofficial transcript or a copy of an original if you just have questions about specific classes while you're in the process of transferring them. You do have to make sure that they go through the official process to transfer them to the UCSB Office of Admissions, not to us as your major advisors. That way the courses get added into your student records and into your all credit accepted, and then we can look at it and apply any petitions that may be necessary. And then just keep in mind, again, if you're sending transcripts that had a course that was pre-approved on assist, you will most likely not need to file a special petition request with us. They will likely automatically pop into those places on your major and GE progress check. But if you do need to do something by petition, right, if you are completing something that is not an assist.org pre-approved course, you're at a different campus, you're at another four-year college, you're at another UC, you took it on a UCEAP program for study abroad, just know that you will have to follow the transfer or the petitions process. So you can take a look at our website under the undergraduate advising section, and then I would recommend that you check your all credit accepted on the bottom of your major and GE progress check, make sure your grade's in, and then you can talk to us about a petition after you have that final grade in there. And then just one other thing to know, after courses have been petitioned, it can take some time, sometimes a couple of weeks, for things to pop into your major and GE progress check. That's also true if it's a pre-approved course on assist. It just takes time for the system to pick up and read everything on your transcript and put it in the right place. So just know that it can take a couple weeks. If it looks weird or it's been months and you haven't seen any changes, definitely reach out to us and see if there was maybe a glitch in the process somewhere. We can help you figure out where that might have gone wrong. And then finally, just some last recap and some things to keep in mind. The whole process, figure out what you need to fulfill using your transfer courses. You can do that by checking the pre-major and prep for the major sections on the major sheet. Or if you're a current student, you can always check your major and GE progress check on gold. And then you run the check on assist.org if you are planning to try to complete those courses through a community college in California. You run it by major for most of those requirements. If you are looking at the language, foreign language option, you do have to run it by department. You won't see it on the main major agreement. And then if you're ever unsure, check with us in the undergraduate advising office for global studies. You can find our contact information back on our website underneath the undergraduate advising tab. Here is the URL. It's listed as /undergrad/programs. But just know you can find our current information there. The big idea is to take the courses, send your transcripts to UCSB's Office of Admissions with your final grades using whatever process is listed on the campus's website. And then pretty much if it's a pre-approved course on assist.org, it will pop into place. It will fulfill the requirement you checked on that it should be fulfilling without you having to do anything additional. If it's not a pre-approved on assist.org course, if you're coming from a different campus besides a California community college, talk to us, contact us about a petition process. And that's it. So if you do have any questions about the course transferability, especially after you've checked on assist for those California community college courses, please feel free to reach out to us so that we can make sure you are confident in picking the classes that best fit your major requirements.